Street of black light. Street of black light. Street of black light. Down, Papa, don't you blow.
Hello, have you had a good week? Your knees hurting? Mine are. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing this week. This week we're going to be fiberglassing the central part of the wing. Okay, and this is purely to give it strength because what will happen is if you're flying your aircraft, at some point the wing is going to go like this and you're going to be going very rapidly to a sudden stop. So now please join me for the next half an hour, if you can endure it, of fiberglassing the central wing for those persons who have never done it before. Fear ye not. Right, well, either rightly or wrongly, I decided to put the bandage on the centre of the wing. This is because I have to put the air intake on the back, and then the instruction says to bandage it. Well, that don't work for me. Plus the fact the bandage I don't think will be long enough. So I'm going to say that's wrong. So I've mixed up a 50-50 mix of this stuff here. It takes about 30 minutes or so to start to go off. Now I'm only doing a little bit at a time. So what I'm going to do is, now a lot of people do this a different way. Some people like to put the bandage on and then put the resin on top of it. To me, I like to do it this way. Put the resin on first, and you're giving the bandage something to go to. Otherwise, you have to hold the bandage, etc. If that makes any sense, probably not. But anyway, so I'm not going to labour this too much, but you just got to get it nice and even. And you'll probably notice I put some masking tape here because I don't want the resin, you know, going over too much and spoiling the overall look of it. Because you know you're trying to do a quality job as much as you can. I mean, you don't want to spend all this time, you know, money and energy for something that isn't quite what it could be. You see what I mean? So that's my perspective on it. Quality over quantity, and also the quality comes with practice. So look, you know, if you're making one of these for the first time and you've not made lots of models before, or you're not akin to it, you know, don't expect your model to be right first time. You'll just make your model better the next time, because hopefully well, unlike me, you'll remember what you did and think, oh, I won't do that again. And sometimes when you're doing something, you get an idea, a little bit of inspiration, and I think, yeah, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that before? You know? So when you get the likes of myself and other YouTubers who are making videos, you know, sometimes you can tell straight away that they're not really proper builders. They're more of a flyer, and you know, I don't know how to word it really. You just see some of the things they do. They're just wrong. You know, they're wrong because you've done it yourself lots and lots of times. And then you get the more skilled builders like Cliff. Cliff is an excellent builder. Cliff loves to build. If you want to look up Cliff, just look up Cliff Harvey at RC Models, and you'll see a guy who loves what he does. You can see the joy in his face. He's, you know, it's like a kid at Christmas, and he's really into what he does. he likes to challenge himself as well, which is a good thing. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a snot in. Oh yeah, put some gloves on, some surgical gloves. I'm pretty sure somebody's got some knocking around somewhere, especially after the last 2 years. So, lay that on. You see, it takes to it. You haven't got to work so hard. And all you really got to do is just make sure you get all the air bubbles out as much as you can. Because you've got gloves on, you know, that becomes an easier thing to do. And you need to get the resin to soak into the cloth. Now when I say cloth, this is fibre, I think it's fiberglass cloth, unless somebody corrects me. It's not like cloth, it's woven nylon really. And you need to get that to soak it in, soak it all up. Now what I could do is actually, I could mix up a little bit more resin and put it on the top. I'll have a little think about that. You see how that, it's just gone straight on. You know, you're not stretching it, you're not pulling it, just goes straight on. There you go. So I don't know how much you can see there, but I don't particularly want to pick the wing up if I can help it. You'll see there's white bits and dark bits where you want it to be all dark. So there's a little bit left there. Now with the mixing, you've got your finishing resin here. It's the resin, right? And you really do have to put it as a 50-50 mix, because if you think, oh, I'll put more hardener in, it'll go off quicker. Well, no, actually you're making it, you know, you're making it go slower because it's not got that chemical reaction. So you're actually losing, it'll never properly go off. You know, so it has to be equal amounts. Make sure you're mixing it. You see, I'm only using a small amount. There's hardly anything there. You haven't got to get it a wash, you know. This only takes a few seconds because it's you know, you're not using much. It becomes easy to use. In other words, less is more. Put that over there for a minute. Okay. So you can see there's nothing difficult about it. For those of a nervous disposition, you've got to work that resin in. The only trouble is with using the brush is that the bristles take up a lot of the resin. Now you've got to get it off the bristles. This is not from the pound shop. This brush is not from the pound shop. You don't want to be buying brushes from the pound shop, because the bristles will fall out and they'll ruin your model, or at least the look of the model anyway. And it's the same with if you're using these kind of cheap brushes for painting at home. You know, you spent a lot of time, if you know what you're doing, and rubbing things down, prepping it, and then you get a cheap brush and all the blooming bristles come out. Next thing you know, you spoilt your job because you're trying to get the bristles off the paint. It's the same thing. So, you know, don't use a cheap brush. I think I bought this from B&Q, I think. Other stores are available. Costs about £5, maybe £6. But you know, if you want to have a go at doing something and trying to get it right, it's worth paying that extra few quid. Saves on tears. These cups came from the pound shop. The only trouble is that they come stacked up, and I tried to part them, and they were breaking. Oh my word! You know, I just really struggled to part them. You'll see some people use a used credit card or a store card or something like that's just expired to go through, flatten this out. There's nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, I was thinking about doing exactly the same thing myself. So I've touched the wood now with my gloves. I didn't want to do that. Now what you'll see some people do, they'll pour on the resin and then they've got to get it off again. Because they know they've got to sand it. I've got that square piece there. That's the reinforcement for the wing bolt. You've got to get it to go in the corners. Now I did take the sand the corners of the reinforcement there. Now let's see if I can try the. Let's stand up, probably not. Where's one of those cards? My old AA membership card. So you got a little bit there. Let's place it over there. No need to press hard. You just need it to soak through the bandage, and then take off the excess. For me, I'm just moving it from one place to another for now. You don't want to go mad with it, because otherwise you're moving the bandage. But what you are doing, you're levelling it out. Now this one particular resin, there's no smell to it, so you know you haven't got a problem with closed windows and stuff like that there. So I find it absolutely a joy to work with. Now what we can do now, so my only other problem is, you see, at some point I've got to put this down, and I haven't really thought about where I'm going to put it. Yeah. But anyway, there you go. So I'll leave it that way up just for now. I'll mix up a bit more resin. We'll flip the bandage over. Now you might have a bit of a problem at this point here, because it's not going to be a totally flush fit. But we'll see if we can overcome that as much as we can. Let's make a bit more resin up. Some people weigh this out, believe it or not. I tend to do it by eye. I know how much I've put in. I suppose if you're a chemist or something like that, You're thinking, well, yeah, I'll measure it out, you know. Well, yeah, alright. That floats your boat. But I will go back over that bandage in just a minute, and I will show you close up. So when we get that mixed in. Okay. So you'll tend to find that's gone quite dark now, and I've still got to get some more air out, but it's okay. All right. So now you'll notice that band is a little bit too short. Now if I'd have put that block on, game over. Game over. What I have done is I'll put some Vaseline around the base of these aileron rods. Because if the resin gets in there and hardens, well, you know, it's not going to end well, is it? So have your Vaseline. Have your Vaseline ready. Now, once all this is gone off, I mean, I'm going to leave this a good 24 hours. At the moment, it's winter here in the United Kingdom, so temperature has a factor. So I think it's going to take a good 24 hours at least. I mean, it'll be sort of touch dry within about 3 hours, but you want it to go off. You start messing with it. And then you can take an 80 grit glass paper to it. It's not sandpaper, it's glass paper. Right. And once you've got it so far with the 80 grit, use a 360 or some of that ilk. And you can sand it down. Thing is, I'm talking, I'm not really concentrating as much as I should be. Now I think the bandage went down to there, so now I can afford to push that up to the front. This is where you've got to start being a bit careful. Excuse my arm being in the way. Yeah, I've gone quiet because I'm concentrating. It's not that I want to be rude. Okay. So there's more than plenty on there. In fact, there's a bit too much here. Bring that back. Now, I don't know what to do with this now. Yeah, a little bit too much. So you only need a little bit. Now this is the top part, and this part goes into fuzz, so you're unlikely to see this. The bottom part you will, and really it's the bottom part you want to make all the fuss over. think this is called dappling. If you know better, make a comment. If you have another word for it, what would you call this? What about if you speak a different language? It's bound to call it something different then, wouldn't you? Now, what I might do is change my gloves, because I actually want to cut them off, little stringy bits. Let's see if I can do that. One moment. Now, you can get some cheap scissors from the pound shop, because you need some sharp ones for sure. Just getting rid of the stragglers. Don't want them spoiling your job. Excuse me. Time for another pair of gloves. So I can see the bandage there is lifting up slightly. That's not good when that happens. So I really should be talking about the history of this model, really, shouldn't I? Do you think? But I mean, I'll reiterate what I said in earlier videos. You know, it's a smashing looking plane. No, it's not a plane; it's an airplane, isn't it? Yeah. Plane is something you use on wood. Aeroplane. I'm not really sure how that phrase came to be, aeroplane. Say something in the comments. Educate. Why is it called an aeroplane? Aero because it goes through the air, obviously. But why a plane? Cuts through the air, perhaps. Could be. Yeah, Google it and let me know. Right, now then, let's use up some of that if we can. Work that resin in. You really want to get that resin to soak all the way through, so there's no air pockets or anything like that. What are you doing, you all over the air out? This won't do. Let's see if we can get that to stay down. It's definitely helping. Just gotta take your time and keep working it. Make all the white bits go dark. That means the resin is fully in the weave. And the reason you're doing this, if I haven't already said it, is the wing has high stresses, and consequently the weakest part of this wing is the centre joint. So you're spreading out the load you need this to really conform, because that's how you know. You already know that the wing fits, so if you're not on top of it, there's a chance your wing won't fit. So you gotta work it. Just trying to get all the air out. Anyway, I suspect that I've used up my 30 minutes by now, and you're probably bored at your minds. So that's how I fiberglass the wing, and take these off. Where's the front? Oh no! Lost the front. Don't know where. Oh, there it is. Right, so that's what you end up with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put another pair of gloves on and just keep smoothing it and smoothing it and smoothing it, you know, making sure it's going in, and I'll leave this for 24 hours, come back to it and see if we can sand it. Yeah, so you can see there's still the little white bits there, but they'll come out. I'll work it. No, I'll work it, and let's see what happens next. So thank you very much for your time. I do hope you've picked something up, especially if you've never done something for the first time, like putting a bandage on the wing to give it strength and everything else. And you know, thank you for your patience, and I hope you keep watching, and I'll see you, well, next week if you're following it progressively. If not, then I'll see you in about 20 seconds. So cheerio, thanks for watching, and have a good week and stay healthy. Cheerio.